So here I am on this is day two of the Camino Inglés. Um, and I am sorry for my delay in getting on, but the internet can provide some issues depending on where you're staying in these places. Especially, I'm in a building now that is all stone, which is beautiful because it's old, but it does sometimes harm the internet connections when you're here on the Camino. So, again, I'm on the Camino Inglés, which is a 5 to 6 day Camino de Santiago route from Ferrol in the province of Galicia here in Spain, and goes down to Santiago. And today is day two. So today I walked just 12.6 kilometers, which is just under 8 miles. So as I said yesterday, I'm taking it slow, starting it slow as I have not really practiced much for this Camino at all. So today we also had when I left my hotel this morning, the wonderful gentleman there explained to me that today's rain is one of those kinds of rain where it's very light, so you don't think you need a rain jacket, but then you end up being soaked. And so that was good for him to tell me because I did start out with my rain jacket on, and he was exactly right. It's one of those things where you don't really feel the rain coming down very much until the end. So it was definitely a wet and rainy day today. So I'll start with this morning. Last night I stayed in a place that was rehabilitated with origins back in the 16th century, and this morning the gentleman who was running breakfast opened the chapel there for us to see, which was pretty incredible. I had read about that online that sometimes they would open it up for us. And then it turns out that the gentleman that I was talking to was actually the son of the man who actually did the reconstruction of this old kind of manor house. And I said to him, "Wow, what vision your father must have had." He has since passed away, and the guy said to me, "Yeah, or maybe he was a little crazy." He ended up having 7 children. He saw the property from the train and decided he wanted to buy it, but the old man who lived there wouldn't sell it to him. So once the old man died, the son sold it to him, and he spent a long time rehabilitating it. And it was the first Casa Rural to be developed in this province in Galicia. And so the government gave them some money um, to kind of finish out this construction and to turn it into a hotel. So it's been a hotel since 1991. So this morning I left in a very light rain. And eventually I went on to uh, meet a few people along the way. Some were locals and some were other pilgrims. And so, one thing I thought was really funny was I was with another pilgrim and we ran into this woman who was actually taking care of her lawn with a scythe. Um, which for those of you that don't know, I think it's the instrument that the Grim Reaper actually holds, but it's used, or it was used at least, to cut grass. And this woman was sharpening hers, and then when we stopped just to say hello to her, she said, "Do you want a picture?" And I wasn't sure what she wanted a picture of. If she was asking us if we wanted her to take a picture of us. Um, but she explained that the tool she was using, whenever people see her using it, when the pilgrims walk by, they always ask to take a picture. And so she's happy to do a demo. And she told us how she had been having back pain, but now it's gone away. And this is good exercise for her. So that was really interesting. I love engaging with the locals here on the Camino de Santiago, which mostly you'll need some Spanish in order to be able to do that. They're, as I said yesterday, delightful people. And again, not to generalize, but in my experiences on the Camino de Santiago, they'll certainly try and help you any way that they can. But to learn a little bit more about whatever topic you're interested in that they're engaging in this case, old-fashioned mowing the lawn, it's helpful to have a little bit of Spanish or somebody with you who knows Spanish. Um, I also got to a little, I don't even know that you'd call it a town, a gathering of houses. And they had a beautiful Camino arrow made of the shells that are the trail marker of the Camino. And they also had there a plaque that said the Camino Inglés on it. They had a couple benches, and I saw a man coming out of a house right next to it, and I asked if he could take my picture. And then I asked him about this beautiful thing that they had on display there, and he said, "Oh," he said, "my sister and I maintain this." And he pointed to the house behind. He said, "That's my sister's house. Next door was his house, and the other side was his cousin's house." And that's one of the things that I love about Spain is that you have these people who have, been living in this area for generations, and they often stay there, and, they've I remember another town in Spain I was in, and the guy explained that he owned, quite a few, this house, and that belongs to his sister, and that belongs so anyway, that was a really nice to engage with him for a little bit. Um I also saw a couple, trail magic kind of sites, we call it, where people just leave out, either food or drinks or, the shells, which are the symbol of the Camino. If you wanna, have one for your backpack, people had those out, and you could just leave a donation for the food, for the drinks, for the shells, whatever it was. There was also a very enterprising 13-year-old who was selling bracelets. And so I bought one of those that has, well, that you can't see there, but it has some of the shells for the Camino on it. And I always like to support the local kids when they're trying to have some sort of money making operation for as the pilgrims go by. I ended up walking a good portion of this day with a delightful young woman from Germany. Last night, she stayed in a hostel and couldn't really communicate with the people there very well because they were all Spaniards. So I think she was perhaps delighted to to meet someone that she could communicate with. So we had a wonderful time sharing our stories and taking pictures and all of that kind of stuff. Uh, and other than that, there's not too much to report here. We did finally get into town, and it started really pouring rain at that point. And so we kind of headed to our respective accommodations. I've done a little sightseeing around the town, and that's one of the problems with the Camino is that you not it's a good problem to have, I guess. You get to these lovely little towns, and it's one of the reasons I like to get in earlier rather than later is because I like to look around the town. And if you don't get in until like 5 o'clock, some people just keep walking and walking and walking. Then you're just exhausted, and you have to, come in, take a nap, find something to eat, all that kind of stuff. So that's why I like to get in a little bit earlier so I can do a little bit of sightseeing. And so after this, I'm going to go out and do a little bit more sightseeing here. But again, a great walk today. It was a lot of secondary roads, and this is common on some of the Camino de Santiago routes. I remind people that these routes were not created as wilderness hikes. They were created in order to get people to Santiago de Compostela by the best means possible. Local governments for sure have tried to change up routes a little bit to get you off of the main roads so that you're not walking on a highway, for example. So these are secondary roads, not usually very well traveled, and the people that travel them do know that they're part of the Camino. So usually they're going slower and things like that. The locals, know pilgrims are coming by and stuff like that. So that's mostly what it was today, as opposed to trail. But we continued to have beautiful views of the waterways around here. And tomorrow is the last we'll see of the river before we head down to Santiago. We've been kind of darting around it and over it up until this point. So that's all I have today from the Camino Inglés. And I'm glad you guys were able to join me. And I will be live tomorrow, but tomorrow's Wednesday. So my usual time is 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And I look forward to seeing you then. Bye.